I hope that you guys are ready for this one because this is another good one, okay? Now, I just watched the Alexandra Cooper Call Her Daddy's episode. Oh my goodness. If you guys have not watched it, tune in and watch it. But she basically talks about Paris Guy. Now, if you want to watch it and you don't want me to spoil it for you, go ahead and clip over to this time right here and I'll be starting my story time. But I'm going to give you guys some cliff notes just so you guys can understand. So basically in this story time that she recently did, she talks about how she met this guy on Raya. He was going to be in Paris and invited her to Paris to meet him for the very first time. She flies out to Paris to meet him. He ends up being the biggest douchebag that she's ever met. The vibe is just not there at all. And since there was no emotional connection, she decided that since there's no emotional connection, how about let's try to develop a physical connection. So she has sex with this man. It ends up being the worst sex of her entire life. She leaves Paris, flies back to New York, gets her like annual testing done, finds out a couple days later that this man contracted HPV into her. Oh my god, that's not funny, but oh my god, I just can't believe I just can't believe it. I can't believe it because she talks about how it's been 5 years since that's happened, okay? She's been dealing with it for the past 5 years because every year she goes to get checked, they tell her, like, you have HPV. The strand that he gave her she was supposed to have HPV for, like, the rest of her life. Like, it was, yeah, like, that bad. But by the grace of God, she moves to LA, she finds a great gynecologist, and they basically take her in for some testing and they proceed to do a surgery on her and they were able to get rid of the HPV. So thank God for her. I'm so happy for her. Like, oh my God, it's just so crazy. But while I was listening to that story, it brought me back to my own little story time, which is why we're here today. So make sure you strap in your seatbelt, go ahead and get you a little snack, get you a little drink, and get ready because I am about to spill some tea, okay, bitch? Some tea, okay? Mind you, you guys, this is a YouTube exclusive because none of my friends, nobody knows about this. I've kept this to myself forever. It's probably been, like 7 years? And I have not told a single soul because of how embarrassed I was. But since Alex can tell her story, and that is not really embarrassing, but like that is a very in-depth story, I figured I can go ahead and share mine. It's not a big deal. So we're going to talk about my story time. Like I said, grab a snack, grab a drink, and get ready. So this story takes place back in like 2014 or 2015-ish. I had just left New York and I was taking a break in Raleigh, North Carolina. The second I got to Raleigh, North Carolina, I knew that it was not for me. I hated it. I hated being in the suburbs. It just wasn't for me at all. So the second I got there, I knew I had to get out of there, but I already signed a year lease with my best friend, so I knew I had a year to really focus on my shit and plan something and get the hell out of there. So around 8 months, I would say, I ended up reaching out to one of my good friends, Colin. Hey, Collie, I know you're watching. So I reached out to Colin and he was living in Los Angeles at the time. And I tell him like, hey, I'm really interested in moving to Los Angeles. He tells me no way. He's looking for a roommate. I'm like, boom, let's get this shit done. So I had planned to move in with him, but I had already knew that like I needed to have a plan B just in case plan A doesn't go through. Like I was just homeless in New York. Like I'm not going to be homeless ever again. Like I'm going to make sure that I have all my T's crossed and my I's dotted. Like just got to make sure that I have a backup just in case. So I decided to join a Facebook group. I forgot what the name of the Facebook group was called, but basically everybody on there is looking for roommates. Like everybody from all over the world. You just write a post and people will comment and let you know like if they're interested or if they want to get to know you or, you know, here's the application to move in, yada, yada, yada. I wrote a post basically saying like, hey, these are my stats, okay, and I'm looking to move ASAP, and these are the major cities that I want to live in. It was either New York, California, or Vegas. Those were the top 3 places that I wanted to move to. So a couple days go by and no one writes me. Okay, I have no notifications on my post. Out of the blue one night, I finally get a message from this guy. And he tells me, hey, what's up? I see you're looking for a place. I'm actually looking for a roommate. I already have the place secured. He was like, I would love to get to know you more and see if you'll be like a great fit to be a roommate. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, here's my number, let's talk. So we get on the phone and we realize that like we get along pretty well. Like we have a lot of things in common and we'll actually be great roommates. But I let him know like, hey, I actually need a couple months. Like I'm not ready to move right now. I still have to finish out my lease and then I would have to go out to Vegas. Like that's the plan. So not right now, but in like the next 4 months is when I'm really looking to move. So he tells me that that's no big deal because he's actually looking for someone to move in around that time frame. So that's perfect timing. So I'm like, okay, cool, perfect. So after that, me and him kind of talk like all the time. Like I'm talking about me and this man, we're talking on the phone 24/7, constantly texting each other, constantly on the phone. Like, but we were just like friends who were just like vibing out. Like we had a lot of things in common, so we could talk for hours and hours on the phone. And at that time of my life, I loved being on the phone. Like now I hate it. Please do not call me. Please do not call me. But back then, I used to love talking on the phone. Like, love it. So one night, we're talking on the phone, and we started talking about something explicit. And the conversation was getting a little sexual in a way, and it was weird because I was like, whoa, we're friends. Like, let's ease out on that. But he tells me, like, he's like, look at your phone. So I look at my phone and I have a text message from him. You guys, why is it this man's? Yeah. And I remember looking at my phone just being like, like it was so pretty and it was so big. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, thank you so much. So from there, we decided to like escalate the conversation a little bit and we decided to have phone SEX. And after then, when I tell you every conversation was just sexually heightened, it was just almost every conversation was sexually heightened. Yeah. So I ended up realizing about, so let's say now we're probably like 10 months in, so I have 1 more month of my lease, and I ended up solidifying my plans to move to Los Angeles. I knew I was going to move to LA, and I had to let him know, like, I'm actually not going to be moving to Vegas. Like, you can find another roommate, whatever. So I let him know, like, hey, I'm actually not going to be taking up the opportunity to move to Vegas. Thank you so much for thinking about me, but I'm actually going to be moving to LA. He's completely cool with it. He understands. And he's like, well, you're going to be closer to me. Like, I think we should like link up and we should just stay in contact and be friends. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to link up with you and hang out with you. Like, you seem like a really cool guy. So now I'm in my last month and I'm getting ready to leave. I have not purchased my tickets yet. I haven't done anything yet, but I know that the time is slowly approaching. I'm thinking to myself, since I'm going to be going to Los Angeles, why not just make a stop in Vegas and see him? Right? Why not? Like, I might as well. I'm already going to be over there. Let me just, meet the guy who I've been talking to for so long. So I tell him, hey, I'm getting ready to purchase my tickets. I wanted to know if you're cool with me coming to Vegas, and I could probably kick it with you for a little bit before I go to LA. And he hesitantly responds back, and he's like, yeah, I'll let you know if that's a good idea. So when you tell me that, that kind of tells me something's a little off, but I didn't want to bother. So I didn't bring it up again. I just left it alone. But what I did is I purchased my tickets, and I actually found a ticket where I was leaving North Carolina straight to Vegas for an 8-hour layover, and then I will go to LA. So I was like, this is perfect because I can still, fly out to Vegas and still see him. And if it's good, it's good. And if it's bad, there's no worries because I'm getting right out of there and I'm going straight to LA right afterwards. So it's not a big deal. So I texted him and I was like, hey, I purchased my tickets. Just want to let you know, like, I have a layover in Vegas. I would love to see you. And he's like, oh, that's super cool. Like, I would love to. We got on the phone. We start planning the things that we want to do while I'm there for 8 hours. He tells me all the restaurants he wants to take me to and just some of his favorite spots that he would like to show me while I'm in town. So now it is time for me to leave North Carolina and move to Los Angeles. My bags are packed. I'm ready to go. I get to the airport and I run into some problems, which I should have known right then and there. I was going to have a very interesting day, but I ran into a fuck ton of problems with my luggage, and it was just nonsense. Okay. But I was able to get through everything, and I was able to make my flight on time. And as I'm getting on my flight and I'm getting comfortable, I have the nicest flight attendant ever. She was the sweetest person ever. She decided to give me so much liquor. Like, she was like, babe, I'm going to make sure that you are feeling good, because I want you to meet him with like good energy, good vibes, and I want you to just have an overall good time. And it's like, shout out to her. Like, she's the real MVP. Like, thank you so much. All the free drinks that she was giving me, she was hooking your boy up. I was wasted, okay? Didn't realize how drunk I was until we landed, but I was so drunk. But one thing about me is I can keep my composure. So I was drunk, but I kept it cute. So we land in Vegas, and when we land, I receive a text message from him, and he gives me his address, and he tells me like, oh, I'm excited to see you, yada, yada, yada. Now, I'm already a little like, because like I thought he would have at least like picked me up from the airport. Like, I thought that was like the manly thing to do, was just like come pick me up. So I go get my bags and I'm getting ready to call the Uber. When I put his address in, I didn't realize it was like in the boondocks. It was like an hour away. Oh my gosh, it was like an hour away. It was such an expensive Uber. I was like, oh my god, it was probably like $85. I was like, I did not plan on spending $85. Mind you, you guys, I am living off my savings because I have not secured my job in Los Angeles yet. So I'm living off my savings, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, fuck, I did not know it was gonna be this expensive. But I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna go anyways. Like, it's just $85. Let's just have a good time, right? Hopefully it's worth it. Oh my god. So we get to the house, okay, and when we get to the house, I see it's a big house, and I see that there's like 3 people outside smoking cigarettes. So I tell the Uber driver, I'm like, hey, just wait right here, like, please don't go nowhere. Like, I don't know this person, I don't know what I'm walking into. Like, can you please just wait right here? Like, I'm gonna just go inside and like get him first and just make sure like the vibe is good. And he's like, yeah, no worries, like, that's cool. I walk up to the front door and I knock on the door. I'm greeted by somebody with a lanyard, like almost as if like I'm at a place of business. And I'm like, hey, I'm here for Tony. And she's like, okay, cool. She's like, can I just have your ID? And I'm like, what do you need my ID for? And she's like, oh, well, this is the halfway house.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
This is the what? This is the what? This is the what? She's like, this is his halfway house. Oh, baby, no. I'm at the wrong location, babes. Like, this is supposed to be my potential man's house. Like, this is his house. This is his home. This is where he lives. This is where he stays. She's like, yeah, he lives here, but like, it's a halfway house. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is not what I'm expecting at all. He comes down. He greets me. He gives me a warm hug too. Like, it was a very warm hug. He looks the same from his Facebook photos. So like, I will say that I wasn't fully catfished because he did look just like his photos. Like, it was definitely him. He definitely looked a little raggedy. I will say he didn't have a haircut, but it was definitely him. Okay. I was like too shocked and stunned when I looked down at his ankle. Y'all, I saw a monitor on his ankle, okay? I was not expecting this at all. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, Isaiah, why didn't you just hop back in the Uber? The Uber's waiting for you outside. Because I'm a big empath, that's why. And I'm a big people's pleaser. So I was like, wow, like, he lied to me because he didn't tell me this because he was so embarrassed. Like, wow, I feel so bad. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna kick it with him for the day because why not, right? Like, it's okay if he lied. I have a flight in a couple hours anyways, thank God. So the least I could do is spend a little bit of time with him. Okay, we just had to take a fucking intermission break because this job that I just got hired by, they just called me in the middle of my fucking story to tell me that they can't identify my background. Like, they can't find any of the information on me. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? I gave you the right social security number. Like, I've never had this fucking happen to me before. They're telling me they can't find, verification that I had my last job. They also are telling me they can't find verification about my high school records or my college records. And I'm like, what in the... I've had so many jobs. I've never had this happen to me before. I'm like, you're running a background check on me. I'm like, you're running a background check on me. How the fuck can you not find this information? Like, what the fuck? I'm like, something's wrong with your security. So I just had to, like, download all my tax documents and send them over to them. And then I also had to log in and try to find my old school information. Like, anyways, so like I was saying... So you guys can only imagine the amount of, like, surprise that was running through my body when I got there and knew that I was dealing with, like, this ex-con, basically, okay? I was like, what the did I just get myself into? Now, I know I should have just, like... So I just decided, you know what? I'm going to make the best out of it. I'm already here. He's a real person. Let's just try to have some fun. So I go out to go get my bags, okay? And when I'm walking outside to go get my bags, he's following behind me. And he's like, oh, your Uber's still here? He's like, that's perfect. He was like, why don't we just hop in the Uber and just go straight down to the strip? I'm like, are you paying for the ride back down to the strip? Like, excuse me? Like, that is... But I've never been to the strip before, so I was like, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to do it. But in the back of my head, I was just so irritated because I was like, I just basically spent like damn near $200 on an Uber ride to come see an ex-con. Not my vibe. So the entire time we're sitting in the car, we have nothing to talk about. We have nothing in common. I'm in my head about this entire situation and I'm just like completely turned off. And I'm just like, why did I get myself in this fucking position? Like, why did I do this to myself? This is so embarrassing. I feel so stupid and I'm just like so annoyed. So we get down to the strip. Thank God there's a hotel like right next to where we got dropped off at. And I asked them if I was able to like leave my bags here. I told them that I wasn't checking in until later. They were literally like, that's fine. That's cool. Just come back and check in. They just made me fill out some paperwork. I lied on the paperwork saying that I was checking into this hotel a little later, and I totally was not. I just could not. I had 2 check-in bags, okay? I had a carry-on bag, and then I had my personal bag. It was too much going on. Like, I was like, no, let me just like leave this here and let me try to like have some fun on the strip and enjoy my time out there with him. So obviously he doesn't have a job. Okay, he's trying to get a job. He has no money for anything. We're on the strip, which is fucking expensive. Okay, a drink alone is gonna cost you $25. This man has no bread, and I am not someone's like sugar daddy. Like, that's just not me. I'm a sugar baby, not a sugar daddy. So I am not going to be paying for your food and your drinks. Like, you have got to be crazy if you think I'm going to be spending a bunch of money on you. Like, you're nuts. I already spent $200 on an Uber. Sorry, but not doing it. So we go to a bar and I decide I'm going to go get myself a drink. I put my tab up there and I'm like, just leaving my tab open. I'm going to have a couple drinks. My tab is open. I'm getting a drink. I realize he's not drinking anything. And I'm like, are you not going to drink? And he's like, no, I don't really have any money to drink anything. And I'm like, that is so embarrassing. I'm like, so why would you want to come out to the strip when you know you have no money to do absolutely anything? That's crazy. And I'm not offering to get you a drink because I've already spent a shit fuck ton of money already. And I'm just like annoyed. So I'm not going to offer. So I'm like, just get some water. Like, I guess, like, I don't know what to tell you. So he goes up and you would think, okay, you would think that he goes to go get water. And this is my fault because I should never told him that my card was on file. This idiot comes back with a beer. And I'm like, oh, I thought you had no money. He was like, oh, I just put it on your tab. You did what? And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He was like, I thought that that's what you meant when you said, like, I should go get something to drink. And I was like, I was saying go get like a water or something just so you're not like sitting here looking thirsty. So now I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, he doesn't even have money for a drink. I'm like, how is he going to get back home? Because guess what? I'm not calling you an Uber back home. I am not doing that. Once I leave the strip, I'm going straight to the airport. So you guys can already imagine how the rest of my time is going. I'm miserable. I just want to leave. I wanted to shower. I was already like drinking on the plane. So I feel like kind of just like yucky in a way. Like, you know, when like you start sobering up off of those drinks and all you really need is like a nice nap and a refreshing shower to wake you back up and get you going again. That's just how I was feeling, and it just sucked because I wasn't able to do that. I thought I was going to be at this man's house. I was going to be able to like shower and relax with him like at his house and then just like hop on my next flight to get to LA and I'll be done for the day. No, instead I'm running around in this fucking dry heat, okay, with this nasty like not a hangover but like this sober up mission happening to me. It was just a fucking mess. I felt so disgusting and I was just so over life. So I started telling myself, Isaiah, why are you hanging out on the strip for funsies? It's stupid. You're literally moving a 30-minute flight away. You can always come back to Vegas. It's never gonna go anywhere. Like, it's still be here. So like, go ahead, get yourself some food and call you an Uber and go back to the airport. Like, this is dumb. It's stupid. And that's exactly what I did. I ordered some food. I had a nice meal, okay? And obviously, I got him a meal as well because I really did feel bad. That's one thing about me. I can't eat in front of somebody. Like, if you're not eating, like, you got to get something. So he got like the cheapest thing. It was like some burger and fries. Thank God he got that. So I treated him to an Uber to the strip. I treated him to a nice meal and a beer. Got myself some food. Once I was done eating, I got the check and I was ready to get the up out of there ASAP. So I went to the hotel. I went and picked up my luggage and I called myself an Uber. And I was out of there. Okay. Now you're probably wondering, what did he do when you were like calling yourself an Uber? I don't know. Because do you want to know what I did? I told him to meet me across the street by the Gordon Ramsay restaurant. Okay. And I said, I'm going to meet you there. I'm just going to go get all my luggage. He walked over there and I got my bags and called an Uber and I left, block his number, and never heard from him ever again. So hopefully he doesn't even see this, or he might see this. Hi, how are you? Sorry I left you there. But I could not do it. I was like, this is pointless. It's stupid. I got to get out of here. Went back to the airport. Had the time of my life. And I actually gambled and hit one of the slot machines like while I was waiting for my flight. And I ended up winning all that money back. So at the end of the day, it low-key worked out in my favor because I did win some of that money back. So it was like, okay, I feel a little better about myself now. But overall, it was just silly. It was stupid. I literally wasted 4 hours of my freaking life hanging out with this man for absolutely no reason whatsoever but to be this man's babysitter. So it felt so good when I got back to the airport, won my money back, hopped on a flight, got my ass to LA. And I never once mentioned this to not one single soul because I was so embarrassed. I felt like that was the thirstiest thing I could have ever done, and I got played. Okay? Played into getting this man an Uber, a drink, and some food. I mean, that's the least I could do. I could help. I don't mind helping, you know. I don't mind doing a little bit of charity work every now and then. So I'm glad I fed this man. But, baby, embarrassing. And I will tell you, let me tell you something now, okay? I definitely learned my lesson. I learned to make sure I ask all the questions I need to ask and do all the research I need to do on a person, okay? And if you do not have an iPhone, I don't care how much of an Android lover you are not the man for me, okay? And that's going to be the case we need to do some real steep verification into making sure that you're an actual human with an actual job. Well, hopefully you guys enjoy this story time, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, you guys.